Welcome back to another episode of Talk Lavish. I'm your co-host, Pam.
And I'm Denise.
And we have an amazing guest joining us all the way from Oakland, California. Please welcome former NBA player, assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, Mr. Joe Roberts. How you doing?
Fine. How you doing?
We're doing good over here. How about yourself, Mr. Roberts?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for joining us today. We're honored for you to be here with us. Just so honored. Thanks again for, coming to our show. So where are we again? Okay, Ohio State, first Black basketball captain. That's a great honor back, especially in that time frame, back in the early 60s and 70s. Was that right?
Yes.
Yes. So how was it? How was it, Mr. Roberts? Like how was that transition for you when you was first named that? I mean, how was you recognized? There's any struggles with that?
Struggles?
Yes, Mr. Roberts.
I had a lot of struggles.
Yes.
In fact, what happened was that each year at the end of the season, the coach would nominate the captain for the other season. I mean, for a senior year. And when it's my turn to be captain, the coach determined that there was going to be no election that time. And so what happened was that beginning of the season, coach walks up to me and said, well, you be captain. So I said, okay, I'm captain. So then about 10 games into the season, we were very successful. Here comes my co-captain. I said, what are you doing out here? He said, well, the coach sent me. So from then on, we had co-captains.
Okay.
So at the beginning, there was a struggle because he didn't want me to be captain initially, but he didn't know how to handle it. So he said, be no voting this year. That's what the coach did.
And being that about that time was a lot of segregation and stuff that was still happening, how was that working with, people of that color, that, discriminate you, but they're now called your teammates? How did that work?
We became best friends, In fact, we had played together in high school, against each other in high school.
Wow.
We like a Broad Street on the east end and on the west end. He was on the west and I was on the east. So that never affected the two of us.
Okay.
We're best of friends now. In fact, when I had my 80th anniversary birthday party, you were there. He was there, so we've been friends for a long time.
I never grasped that when I was there. Being the Warrior assistance coach and bring home Oakland, its first actual championship from your transitioning from Ohio into actual Warriors. You transitioned in 1975, and where were you going? What was the team leading there? Like, where were you at in life in the 1975s when you transitioned from not only being in Ohio as the state captain for basketball to now, assistant coach for the Warriors? That's a fast leap, but how was that for you?
Went from from Michigan to Iowa, then to the Warriors. And, it was no transitional problem because I had coached on all levels.
Right.
And it's just a matter of the guys being a little bit better than college players.
That's right.
And I had no problem, with transition.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let me just start. I know I should ask this question from the beginning, but okay, so how did you develop the love and passion for basketball? So who pretty much got you into basketball, and when did you know that you could take your talent to the next level?
Well, my junior high coach, we moved from Georgia to Ohio as a ninth grader.
Okay.
And I was walking down the hall with this long corridor one day, and the coach, he said, hey, boy, you. And I looked around and said, me? He said, you. Get down to the gym at 3:30.
Okay.
And so I went to the gym, and from then on, he just taught me how to play, and I wasn't that good because I never played organized basketball. And so he put me on a jump rope, and he said, you just watch and see what we're doing.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I watched and I jumped rope and I got better and stronger. And by my sophomore year in high school, I was a starter.
Oh,
and
wow.
so my junior high coach started me out, like he probably saved my career because I didn't know what I was going to do. As a ninth grader and being in a strange city.
Yeah.
And that gave me something to do. To this day, we still have friends. And I knew by the end of my junior year that I had pro material. I mean, I had that kind of ability, but at that time they didn't accept too many blacks in the NBA.
Right.
But all that you've been through, I mean, at that time in the 1960s, there was so much going on. You got the
Right.
civil rights movement going on. You got Ruby Bridges, that's one of the first students that's making a groundbreaking moment by being one of the first African Americans to break the desegregation in Louisiana, being able to stay strong despite everybody around you not wanting you to be there just because you're a black man. Man, that's strong. So if you don't mind me asking, what would you say would be your foundation to keeping you strong, to keep you going at that moment when you're going?
My grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother was my foundation. From the age of 3 years old, she tell you got to get an education. You got to be your own man. Don't follow the crowd. She had one great saying. She said, "Don't do nothing at night you can't bring to the light." That was my grandmother's saying. In other words,
That's
don't
right.
be doing something crazy out there that's going to get you in trouble.
That's right.
So I always followed her advice. Right.
Wow.
And you couldn't come in her house without being a good student.
Right. Were there any challenges that you especially faced time and time? Like if you ever tried to call shots during a game, did you ever face any challenges like that? Or was it always a team setting back then? Like they listened to your word?
Oh, yes. Because I was like maybe 2 years older than the rest of the guys. Because coming from the South, if you flunk like a half a year, you flunk for the whole year. And so I flunked 2 grades, first, maybe second and third grades. I had mumps one year and measles the next year. And so I was out a while, so you flunked the whole year. And so from then on, I was like 2 years ahead of my class. I mean, yeah, I was 2 years older than my class. And so the fellows, they listened to me, and I had no problem with the team, giving them advice or speaking to the coach on their behalf. So it wasn't a racial thing with that, particularly with my senior year. But my first 2 years, I caught hell because it was a racist team and a racist coach. Yeah, so I had a difficult time. I thought about transferring, but I had my little wifey, and I had to stay in Columbus.
Okay.
BJ's grandmother.
Yeah.
With that being said, sir, in that time, and then what made you want to continue on into, in that field where, that racism is still there, and you went on to be the Warriors coach?
Well, it was a challenge. My thing is, as a player, after you quit playing, you have it in you to be competitive, so you can be no longer physically competitive. So as a coach, mentally, I was competitive, so I pursued coaching. Then I had a lot of help from my friends to give me advice and references, so that's how I got to be coach of the Warriors. And I've coached at all levels, high school, 2 colleges, and the NBA.
And don't you have 3 masters at this time, sir?
3 masters. I had one from Western Michigan. I was going to school at Western. You can go to school free while coaching. And so I got 1 master's there free. Then I started toward my PhD at University of Iowa. Then I stopped that to pursue coaching further, but I resent not going further as far as PhD in education. Then I have 2 masters from Hayward, East Bay.
Wow.
One in special education, one in education administration. I wanted to be a school principal.
Wow.
So I could have my own school.
And all your times of your life tributes, it's led you to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. You was recognized a couple years back. I think in like 2015 or so, 2016, you was actually recognized as the Hall of Famer for Oakland's Hall of Fame. How did you really transition from being in that crowd of NBA players to just regular civilian life?
Well, the transition, like anything, if you've done it for a long time, the first year is tough. Then after that, you just recognize, like when I started teaching at Castlemont, when I left coaching, the kids said, "Why would you come down here and be with us?" They would question my my motive. "Why are you here?" I said, "I went to school to be an educator." And I'm lucky to have had the opportunity to advance in the coaching field. So I'm here to do what I set out to do as a youngster, to work with kids like people work with me.
Right.
I want to spread knowledge to those kids like my coaches spread to me.
Right.
Help your community.
Yeah. Right. And out of all those coaching abilities and things of that nature, did you ever want to like dabble into like Castlemont's, little game affair against the, Oakland Tech, you're part of that history. I'm a Tech girl. Go Bulldogs. Castlemont's were the Knights.
Yes.
Whatnot like that. So, did you ever consider stepping in and being part of that coaching team for Castlemont?
Other schools?
At Castlemont.
Yeah, I coached there for 5 years.
You did? Oh, you did?
Yeah, I coached at Castlemont for 5 years, and we had beautiful kids at the time. But at that time, in 80, 85, drug culture took over Oakland. That's when drugs really became very common, and it just kind of like destroyed my team,
Wow.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you don't get paid for coaching. It's just a matter of working with kids and see them grow.
Right.
Yes.
And I enjoyed their growth. But speaking of growth in college, I have guys that are dentists. I have guys that are medical doctors. I have guys that were executive with AT&T. I have guys that are executive with Coca-Cola. I think that's the greatest thing that I've done, to recruit the guys that want to be successful, and they went on in life and raised their families and took care of business.
That's such a blessing in itself to know that you touched so many people's lives and that you've been a part of their lives and to their success.
That's a great thing to have a great feeling to know that these guys around the country, Kansas City, Atlanta, all over, LA, that you have touched their lives and had a great positive experience.
Right.
My thing was never recruit an athlete that had physical ability, but he didn't want to go to school. I never recruited guys just to use them. I call that using. You can't use a person. But all my guys wanted to go to school, and they thrived, most of them.
Is there anybody that you was very particular about?
All of them. All of them. Yeah. Okay. In fact, I had some guys, I forget their name, at Castlemont. They was right on the rough edge. But now I see them, they said they're an accountant, a technician. I said, man, I can't believe it. I said, that's great, But I said, in high school, I thought I was going to have to kill you. I speak to them like that. That's because you were so rough and crazy. I just said, you're crazy. But they tell me what they're doing, and that's what I enjoy. They're doing well.
I just have to say respectfully, I take my hat off to you. Trust me, I don't think I would. It's so many people that have so many reasons, and us as African Americans, even though we come so far, when we see African Americans and even women in sports, you have Serena Williams, Simone Biles. What's another one, Denise? Sha'Carri Richardson. So many women that even just by us displaying our confidence, we get discredited, we get knocked down, we get, oh, she's too masculine or she's too muscular. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's like, even though we've come a long way as African Americans, that's a vivid reminder that we still have a long way to go. But you are a leading example of, despite what the world says about you, if you love something and you have a true passion for it, stay true to it, stick to it, and never fold. Because at the end of the day, if you really have a dream for it, you have a passion to succeed, it's the Lord's willing. You'll make it there eventually. So I just want to say respectfully, thank you for being the example.
Thank you. I would say persevere, don't give up, can't let anybody else destroy your dream.
That's right.
As a basketball player, my thing was just let me on the court. And I can prove to you what I can do. And that goes for everything. In a job, all you want is the opportunity. That's what I want, just the opportunity to go out and show and if I couldn't do it, I would tell you, but I would give you my best. And that's what most kids, not most, but some kids can't. They see something in their way and they let other people destroy their dream. You can't let anybody destroy your dream.
Right. That's right.
If you have the opportunity, just show your ability. which means that you got to prepare. You just can't sit there and think somebody's going to happen. You got to prepare for whatever you're trying to do. Prepare for it.
That's right.
That's right.
With a job interview or workstation, show them what you can do. But you got to be prepared. That means study, whatever it takes, do it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Beautiful.
I worked at juvenile hall for about 7 years, and I saw just kids destroyed from their communities and lack of support from their homes. And you just see individuals with so much potential and just going down the drain. And that used to bother me.
Yeah.
In fact, I was down at McDonald's today and I saw 3 of the guys that I had in juvenile hall. And I just, I said, well, you're out and you're doing well. That's good, And a lady said, where did you have it? I said, there's one of my students. I didn't say juvenile hall because they look at you like, please don't expose me. I mean, they have that look. I would never do that,
Yeah.
It says he's one of my students. I didn't say where, but it's a matter of destruction from the home and the community that we got to do a better job in raising our kids.
Yeah.
And give them an opportunity to be successful.
That is true.
That's all I want is an opportunity.
If you can go back in time, Mr. Joe Roberts, if you can go back in time and give yourself any advice, I mean, I'm talking about back in time when you're in Ohio and you're going to college and the doorway has been open for you to pursue your dream. If you could give yourself, your younger self, any advice back then, what would it be?
Give myself advice?
Yes, sir.
Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody knock you down.
Okay.
And one thing I learned as an adult is that you need to speak up for yourself.
That's right. That's right.
There's a way to do it. Like if you have a problem with a person, take them one-on-one. Like in college, I used to take my professors one-on-one. I said, I need to see you after class. He said, what? I said, this one professor said that all Black people are dumb. Now, he spoke that in front of everybody. So I said, sir, I need to see you after class. And I said, you're spreading ignorance. He said, what? I said, you're spreading ignorance.
Yeah,
That's right. I don't think it's fair for you to do that because all Black people are not dumb.
Right.
So I had several of them that I had to talk to them about that, something that they said.
And that takes a lot of guts. That takes a lot of guts.
That takes a lot of guts. But anything you have on your job, even today, if you have a problem with your supervisor, don't let it slide. Some way, get an audience with him or her and work it out and talk about it. At least they know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to continue to think what they're thinking, and it might not be good for you.
Wow.
At least they know.
Wow. That's interesting. Just talking to you, Mr. Joe Roberts, and hearing your story about how far you've come. I had a person tell me, a young activist, and one person, they told me one time that, why you keep saying that we as African Americans, we've come so far when all this stuff is happening. Do I agree that yes, African Americans have come far? Yes. Yeah. But sometimes, in the public, in the media, how we see things, how it's portrayed. I'm talking about racism, police brutality, things that even in sports, sometimes the Black people, they get accused for doing things, or they get knocked down for being human in comparison to their other peers more than anybody else does. So I understand what they're saying. How can you say that African Americans have come this far when we still see things like George Floyd? We still see things like all these other, not just female, but African American men, baseball players, African American football players in sports being criticized for just being themselves. So most importantly, I just want to say respectfully, you have come a long way. And just hearing your story and just hearing everything that you've been through, even up to this point, you still have that same attitude of, despite of what the world thinks, be who you are.
Don't follow the crowd. Be yourself,
Yes.
You don't have to be vocal or, flamboyant. Just be yourself and have a spine, stand up for what's right.
That's right.
But mentioning it come a long way. When I grew up, Black folks couldn't get a job.
That's right.
Can you imagine having a family and you can't get a job? And that's survival. You got to eat, you got to feed your kids, and just getting jobs is progress.
That's right.
And just being able to go to school is progress. You know, that what bothers me sometimes, kids in school don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we had to do as far as a Black race is to show our kids the importance of an education or a skill.
Yes, a skill.
You don't have to be a professor in college. You know, you can be a plumber,
Mm-hmm.
electrician,
Yeah.
but be productive. Be a productive citizen.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's what scares me about so many kids don't have the knack to try to be a productive citizen.
Yeah.
And that's when, as a race, we get in trouble.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm not worried about anybody else's race. I'm just worried about, you know, our people. You know, I care about other people and their races.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as being a Black man, what are we doing as a group to survive and make things better for the people coming along behind us?
Yeah. Yeah.
No one really thinks about stuff like that because it's become, that's not my problem, it's somebody else's problem sort of mindset. You know, I don't have to deal with it. Another generation will have to deal with it, not me for this time, you know.
What they don't realize is that we all painted with the same brush.
Yeah.
You know, you might not know a Black person, but they say, you know, some Black guy did that. So if I walk down to Walgreens right now, you know, a guy walking there tall, I'm a suspect, you know, because of my height and, you know, being my color of my skin. So this is what we got to try to improve that.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
And you prove it through being skillful and a productive citizen.
That's right. That's right. Mr. Roberts, now since in the present time, you know, you have a wonderful legacy behind you. I'm sure your wife and your children, your family are so proud of you. In the midst of everything that's going on now, how is it now? How is life after? Like, how is life after coaching? Like, do you still attend the All-Star games, or is it not so much?
Well, yeah, we enjoy it as a spectator now. You know, we go to Warriors game periodically, and every year we go to the All-Star game. You know, this year's in Cleveland.
Yes.
And we enjoy just being in the crowd. You know, we don't go to the games per se because we've seen enough games.
Yes.
Because they're very expensive, and plus they don't play basketball at these games. They just it's like a showmanship.
Yes.
Okay. And we don't want to be pay that much money for showmanship, which we've seen all our lives. You know, basketball. But just the camaraderie with old friends that we've known over the years, just sit around, just talk and eat, and just walk by all the exposition, and we just have a good time.
Right.
Wow.
But this time we can't go to Cleveland because the virus has perked up again, and we don't want to be into that in the airplane at this time.
I respect that.
No, respect. Yeah, truly.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on.
So it's great to have been there, but understanding that, hey, you know, just enjoy it.
Just enjoy.
That's beautiful. Well, Mr. Roberts, talking to you, hearing you, and understanding more about your legacy, about how you've made it this far, and the advice you've given, I just want to say, it's truly been an honor. So it was a pleasure just talking to you. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. You and Miss Denise.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roberts.